pagkakataon sa mga local nating businessman. 37 years, ibinigay na namin sa inyo. Nagpaka-patriotic tayo. Sinarado natin ng ating investment sa inyo. Ang tanong, gumanda ba buhay ng ating mga kababayan? Yung 8% ng ating mga kababayan na umaasa sa magandang trabaho, magandang sweldo, pag-unlad, nangyari ba sa 37 years? Goodness gracious, no! Sir, that is English. It is very clear that there is a problem. Until we amend this law, there will always be a problem. Like yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Julian.
Maybe I should reword that an issue. It's a legal issue that's going to go before the courts. But if the law was amended or the provisions were deleted, then the issue would no longer, I don't think, exist, although that might also be challenged. But you would have to consult with a lawyer like that, like my colleague and friend over here.
Thank you, Mr. Julian Payne. Ayun, ang liwanag po, ano, mga mahal na kababayan, siya na po ang nagsabi na kapag hindi natin naamendahan yung konstitusyon, palaging magkakaroon ng legal question. Kaya po ibinato niya kay attorney. Sapagkat, alam niyo mga kababayan, katulad po nung nangyari, alam naman po siguro ni Attorney Yula Arias, meron pong isang desisyon ng Supreme Court na sinasabi niya na yung oil exploration ng China sana at ng Pilipinas ay sinabi nila na hindi pwede.
How Congress should be controlling restrictions and fine-tuning it to the evolving external conditions and internal. So that's the first point. The second point my good friend John made was that, the danger that if there was 100% or 50% foreign ownership of a sari store, Canadians would flock over to work in sari stores. That is not going to happen. Foreign investment is made, but it doesn't necessarily mean that foreigners are going to come and work in those. In fact, generally, if you have foreign direct investment, it will increase the capacity of the workforce and generate additional jobs, not take them away. So I think the fear that foreign direct investment will in fact displace local employment is a bogus issue with respect. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may make some general comments. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure and an honor to discuss these matters with the committee. I also would like to say it's a great pleasure to be here in Davao City and Mindanao, because there's no region in the whole country which needs more foreign direct investment. And I think it's very symbolic that you had your first outside meeting here in Mindanao. Second comment I'd make is briefly that foreign direct investment is not just dollars. It's also transfer of technology, and it's also the establishment of businesses which lead to international trade. So we must not measure foreign direct investment solely in terms of dollars. The third thing I'd like to make a point is that, first of all, I should make it clear, I'm representing the 7 chambers member of the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce, the American, Australian, New Zealand, Canadian, European, Japanese, Korean, and Primary. And together,
Seven chambers of commerce, 7 countries. Wow, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
And these chambers together represent over 3,000 companies in the Philippines. They cover about, I think the figure is $300 billion worth of trade and $30 billion worth of foreign direct investment when you combine them all. When we look at foreign direct investment, certainly in the last Congress, there have been some dramatic improvements. And I would like to say the Public Service Act amendments, I would like to say the Foreign Investment Act, and also the Retail Sales Liberalization Act. And also at the administrative level, the administration has clarified the definition of natural resources, which has enabled more foreign direct investments in renewable resources. So I think we should give credit where credit is due to the past Congress and to the administration for what has been done. But these are just first steps. When we look at our interest in constitutional amendment is solely on the economic provisions. It's inappropriate for us to discuss anything else. So I would just discuss that. When we look at foreign direct investment coming, any restrictions will reduce the amount of FDI. That's axiomatic, and that is true for any country. However, all countries have some restrictions to protect their vital economic interests, and the Philippines is not an exception nor the sole one. Canada does the same thing. The two questions, there's two critical questions that I think you have to answer, is what are the minimum restrictions that you need to protect vital interests? And the more restrictions you have, the less FDI you will have coming. There is the argument that if you have restriction in one sector, the FDI will go to another sector. Not true. A mining company will want to invest in mining, and if you don't allow it, it will invest it someplace else like Chile or Indonesia. So foreign direct investment is not fungible necessarily between sectors. That's the first thing you have to realize when you have sectorial restrictions. The second issue is, regardless of what the sector is, the world moves quickly today. And one of the things we have to focus on is how do we amend restrictions? If they're in the Constitution, in any country, that is a slow, cumbersome, and difficult process. Not just the Philippines, it's also in my own country. The second thing is you have laws, and the third is you have executive authority. In our view, the Philippines, if it wants to encourage foreign direct investment, must minimize the restrictions and must choose the most flexible means of restrictions to allow change to respond to changes in technology, to changes in foreign investors' expectations, and to change in response to international competition of what other countries are doing. So you must be flexible. Our position is quite simple. We believe, in fact, that the best position would be to delete the economic provision, all of them from the Constitution, and reset this in laws approved by the Congress. If that is not possible, we support the position that is basically taken in the resolutions, that you should add, unless otherwise provided by law, to each and every one of the economic provisions. The position of the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce was given in very comprehensive detail to the previous Congress, and I've tabled with the Secretary, and I table here today that position, which is a 9-page document, which I won't read because it'll put you all to sleep. I do have a formal statement. I will table that also. But the bottom line is that the position of the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce is, if you want to increase foreign direct investment for transfer for dollars, for transfer of technology, for future trade, then you should minimize the restrictions and you should choose a means where it's able to adjust it very quickly and very flexibly to rapidly changing external conditions. And therefore, our position in summary, basically, you should delete them from the Constitution. If that is not possible for any reason, then you should adopt the approach taken in the resolutions before this committee, which is to add unless otherwise provided by law. Thank you very much. I'd be pleased to answer any questions. Thank you. Salamat po.
Salamat po. Thank you very much, Mr. Julian Kane. That was a very clear picture. Mga mahal kong kababayan, napakaganda po nung sinabi ng ating dayuhang bisita. Napakaliwanag po ng sinabi niya na ang ibang bansa, hindi lang po kapitbahay natin dito sa buong mundo. Pero naman po talagang may mga patakaran, may nagre-restrict din naman, sabi niya. Hindi naman po pwede na walang restriction. Pati nga daw Canada may restriction Pero hindi po pwede na yung sa konstitusyon natin halos lahat to hindi na sumasabay sa takbo ng panahon. Ang linaw po ng sinabi niya na dapat ang konstitusyon sumasabay ka sa takbo ng panahon. At ang panahon ngayon globalization na nga Ano na tayo ngayon Dapat sumabay na tayo kung ano yung ekonomiya na tumatakbo sa buong mundo. At yung nasa konstitusyon natin, hindi po siya makasabay. Kaya nga po sabi niya, i-delete na lang nyo yan. Kung hindi nyo kayang tanggalin yan, ang linaw nung sinabi niya, i-adapt nyo yung resolution natin. Ano pa yung resolution natin? Ang linaw po. Doon sa resolution natin, unless otherwise provided by law. Ibig pong sabihin, ilagay natin sa konstitusyon na ang pagluluwag ng ating ekonomiya, pero ang mga mambabatas ang gagawa po ng paraan para maproteksyonan din yung ating interes. Yun po, napakalinaw po na yan po ay galing na sa siya po ay nagre-representa ng 7 Chamber of Commerce ng buong mundo. May United States, may Australia, may Japan, at ibang bansa pa, Canada. Alam nyo, mga kababayan, magpasalamat po tayo sa dayuhan na bisita natin sapagkat galing pa po yan ng Maynila, pumunta dito para magmalasakit po sa atin at ipaliwanag sa atin kung saan tayo nagkukulang. Mga kababayan, hindi po pagtataksil sa bayan ang pagbubukas ng foreign investment. Hindi po. Yan po ay ginagawa na ng maraming bansa. At ang linaw po ng sinabi niya, kayo pa rin ang masusunod. Tayo pa rin ang masusunod. Kailangan lang flexible po tayo. Sir, I have one question. One more question. As you mentioned it a while ago, there were laws passed by the 18th Congress. That was the Foreign Investment and the RTLA and the Public Service Act. But there is one law, the Public Service Act, which was passed by our very good and very beautiful and very courageous Senator Grace po. But unfortunately, Public Service Act for almost 1 year, the IRR has not been released by the executive. And there is one, I think, not more than one group has filed a case against this law. They're saying that this is unconstitutional. So, sir, do you think it will be beneficial? I just wanted to be clear because you just said it a while ago that we need to amend the law. I just want to hear it clearly again, sir. Do you think these laws that was passed by the 18th Congress, it will be more with substance if we will amend the economic vision in the Constitution? Will these laws be more useful to us if we will amend the economic provision in the Constitution?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. I'm not a lawyer, but first of all, I would like to give credit to the administration for very quickly approving the IRR for the Retail Sales Act legislation. That was done very quickly, and I think we should give credit to the administration for that. The second thing on the IRR for the Public Service Act amendments, the problem here is that this covers a number of departments. So I think NEDA has a big challenge on this, and this is at issue. To answer your direct question, obviously, if the economic provision that relates to that were deleted, or if it was amended to say unless otherwise provided by law, then that would solve a problem. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. The word that will solve the problem. It is very clear that there is a problem. Until we amend this law, there will always be a problem. Like yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Julian. Yes.
Maybe I should reword that an issue. It's a legal issue that's going to go before the courts. But if the law was amended or the provisions were deleted, then the issue would no longer, I don't think, exist, although that might also be challenged. But you would have to consult with a lawyer like that, like my colleague and friend over here.
Thank you, Mr. Julian Bain. Ayun, ang liwanag po, no? Mga mahal na kababayan, siya na po ang nagsabi na kapag hindi natin naamendahan yung konstitusyon, palaging magkakaroon ng legal question. Kaya po ibinato niya kay attorney. Sapagkat, alam nyo mga kababayan, katulad po nung nangyari, alam naman po siguro ni Attorney Yula Arias, meron pong isang desisyon ng Supreme Court na sinasabi niya na yung oil exploration ng China sana at ng Pilipinas ay sinabi nila na hindi pwede. Bawal. Kasi sabi ng konstitusyon. So mga mahal kong kababayan, bilyon na po ang nawala sa atin doon. Bilyon. Dapat tayo nakikinabang doon, pero hindi tayo nakinabang dahil sa konstitusyon natin. Sir, thank you very much for your information. And actually, you are educating us. Thank you very much, sir. Ma'am attorney, tinuro ka niya kanina mag-opinyon ka naman, hindi man ako abogado Tama ba ang sinabi niya, Ma'am Attorney Arias, na laging magkakaroon ng legal question hanggat hindi natin mababago ang saligang batas?
Yes, that yung sinabi po ni Mr. Pino, that's really correct also, no? Kasi because instead of the Constitution being a parang protection, it becomes a hindrance, no? So, yun, maybe if we will go through the economic provisions of the Constitution and, liberalize these restrictive provisions in the Constitution, then of course we can encourage more FDIs coming to the Philippines, no? Na iibahin natin yung paradigm kumbaga ng Philippines. Instead of being too restrictive, we have to set it to become more welcoming to the foreign investments, which is actually what is the trend now, no, in Southeast Asian countries. So parang nahuhuli na din ang Philippines in that sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, Mr. Julian Payne, sir, of course, it is obvious that legal battle will always be the concern of our foreign investors. Have you ever encountered this kind of problem, legal battles, when it comes to foreign investment? Well, not you precisely, but among your colleagues, is that also their concern?
I'm not aware of a specific legal issue, but I'm sure there are some. Some of it relates to interpretation. For example, the issue of the IRR for natural resources, which was recently clarified by the Department of Justice. But I would like to make a point. There's a difference between the issue of what the restrictions are and the flexibility. You could, in fact, have even more serious restrictions passed by law than the Constitution. The issue of transferring from the Constitution to individual law is it gives the Congress the flexibility to respond year by year to change in conditions, external conditions, changes in technology, changes within the country, and changes of the interests of the country. That is the fundamental issue. And there's two different issues. One is the degree of restrictions, which can vary depending on what your vital issues are. And the second is the ability to respond and adjust. And that's where you get into the hardcore issue of whether it should be in the Constitution, or it should be in a specific law approved by Congress, or in an executive order. So there are two fundamentally different questions here that you have to address. Thank you. The legal issue is a separate one. And that's an issue of clarity in the law and so on. And that I leave to lawyers to talk about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Julian Payne. Yun po, mga kababayan, ang linaw po, no? Ang sinasabi niya, siyempre, ang saligang batas, yan po yung pinakamataas na batas, ano? Kaya po, ang gusto natin, malagay natin doon yung unless otherwise provided by law. Yun po yung sinasabi niya. Kapag yun na ilagay natin sa saligang batas, ngayon, magkakaroon na po ng kalayaan ang inyong mga mambabatas na gumawa ng batas para po tayo ay maka-adjust sa takbo ng panahon. Kung ano ang hinihingi ng panahon. Magkaroon ng flexibility. Kasi ang nangyari po ngayon, sinabi ng saligang batas na ito, restrictive tayo, ito lang tayo. Wala na po tayong magawa. Lahat na lang ng ginagawa natin, ban-aid na lang po. Yun po ang problema. Hindi po dapat tayo masanay sa ban-aid solution. Kung meron naman pong isang solusyon talaga, na yun na yung direktahan natin at yun po yung amendahan natin yung saligang batas ng unless otherwise provided by law para magkaroon po ng kalayaan yung inyong mga mambabatas na gumawa ng mga batas na sasabay sa takbo ng panahon. Sir, thank you very much. Ngayon po, pupunta naman